This is the Solomon Project, where it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns, and you have just stumbled upon Whip It Out Wednesday. Typically on Whip It Out Wednesdays, I whip out the accounts of certain people that I help in their journey and their investments in the stock market. By the way, this is not financial advice. Princess, how are you? Can you hear me okay? In the description below, you're going to find a link to Webull. It's probably my favorite investment platform. By using that link, you can get up to 20 free stocks. Of course, it depends on how much you open the account with, what size deposit. Which is great stuff. And it is free. It will post to your account. There was so much that I wanted to say. So much that I was practicing to say. Because I never write anything down to prepare for anything. Not a live, not a long form, not a short. I come at you au natural. I got some news though. I sure did. I got some news from. Oh, well, thank you, Princess, for showing up to say hello. I really appreciate that. That was very nice of you. Thank you. You're the best. Thanks. Do I have money? I got 6 kids and bills to pay. Oh, right. So, if this is the first time you ever seen me dressed up like this, with the all-out blinginess, the rotating blinginess. Let me explain. This is a costume that represents a part of my upbringing. This is what captivated the minds of many when I was growing up. Mostly in the 80s and 90s was big what? Timu King. Exactly, Timu King. Hey, I can't even I couldn't even convince you, huh? So so yeah. This was the image that impressed a lot of the young men in the hood when I was growing up. There were guys that I grew up with that, of course, not this much. I mean, I look more like Mr. T than anything else, but there were people that I grew up with that used to sport like a thick chain, at least one thick chain, some gold rings, the gold name, the name belts. Those weren't gold, exception of a couple of people that I knew, and they did make it their business to buy actual golden name belts, the buckles, the name buckles, which is kind of wild. Understand that you can't make it 24 carats if it's a belt buckle, because that's too soft. So how much gold it actually had, I'm not sure, but it did have gold. And this was part of how these young men, and we're talking young, we're talking in their late teens, that were walking around with this type of jewelry to demonstrate to everybody that they had a good hustle going on. Usually that hustle had a lot to do with substances, right? Yeah, it had a lot to do with substances. And so, for example, one of the guys that I knew from the same neighborhood that my friends are from, they're not from there, migrated to that area of the Bronx and started their enterprise down there. And they just so happened to get caught right around the same time in the mid-90s. Now, this one guy that I'm talking about, he was making $1,000 a week for his pocket. So let that sink in. You got a 19-year-old making $52,000 a week, and he wasn't really, he was in the middle. He wasn't like a top dog or anything like that. So you're 16, 17, or 18. You're looking at these guys that you're growing up with, making thousands of dollars a day, tens of thousands a week. And you see your parents, you see some of your friends' parents struggling to keep up, hood, under dangerous circumstances. My parents definitely didn't want me growing up under those circumstances, but they didn't have a choice. And you're watching them. They're both working. My mother was working 2 jobs. And their money didn't come anywhere close to matching what these guys were making. These guys were making a lot of money, but they were operating under very dangerous circumstances. Very easily could they lose their life and their liberty, and most of them did. I want to say maybe 93% of them did. Gone in one way, shape, or form. That same guy I'm talking about that was making $52,000 a week as a 19-year-old, they finally caught up to him, and he got life without the possibility of parole. And that's not allegedly. That's what he got sentenced. There's no alleged there. He's beyond alleged. He's gone. And that other group of friends of mine that were in the same neighborhood, half of them got killed off. And the other half, well, not the whole half, but most of them, they also got life without the possibility of parole. That's what we were looking up to. The attire that they wore. Or, once again, not quite this much, but you get it. And to us, that might have been maybe, hey y'alls, yes, Homestead, you made it. Now I can grind. Now that you're here. Matter of fact, you know, I'm gonna do something. Homestead. Yeah. I'll give you a wrench. How you like that? I'll give you a wrench. How you like that? Huh? Was it tempting? Of course it was tempting. Remember what I told you. It's between the ages of 12 and 25. Those are the most impressionable ages, because between those ages, your emotional brain doesn't hook up with your psychological. They don't communicate with the logical brain. Your logical brain and your Your logical brain and your emotional brain, they don't communicate. And the dominant side is the emotional side. So now I want you to try to imagine. Okay? I want you to try to imagine somebody my age I want you to try to imagine someone, a young man my age, 15, 16, 17 years old, in the hood, right? Watching their parents struggle. Meanwhile, you're watching one of your homeboys roll up in a Jaguar, rolling up in a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, and not a used one either, a brand new one. Rolling up in a Beamer, a Jag, a Benz, brand new, with the fat rims, with the low profile tires. George, the one that got busted, the one I was telling you about, that was 19 years old, making 52 grand a week. That dude was ridiculous. That dude, let me tell you what that dude did. That dude, he was modifying his cars, yeah, with an S at the end. And we're talking all the cars that I mentioned. He had a good amount of them. This man modified his car, different modifications for different cars, like they were something out of a James Bond movie. I'm not even making that up. You could probably look him up, from the Bronx, George, Boy George from the Bronx. This dude would have one car that blew out smoke in the back, or another one that threw out oil in the back, or one that had guns in the front. Crazy stuff. Crazy 007. For real. Some James Bond stuff. George was bugged out. He was bugged out. That dude, he has been doing time since he was like 9 years old. He's been in and out. So he was out there. So now you got somebody like George. You got somebody like Freddie. You got Platano. You got Lenny. You got Chocolate. You got the dudes from the baseball crew. They were out there making some ridiculous amounts of money. Ridiculous amounts of money. So here you are. Here I am begging my parents so I could scrape up some money to buy a pair of Pumas with fat laces. Meanwhile, these guys got like 100 pairs of Pumas, 100 pairs of shell top Adidas, all kinds of colors, all kinds of sizes, with the fat laces. They're wearing Cassell glass frames. They got the sheepskin bombers. They got the 8-ball jackets. They got the leather bombers. They got the Kangol hats. They got all that. Everything I just finished mentioning, they got the name buckle. Everything I just finished mentioning, you can't walk around the streets in New York City with that stuff on by yourself. You will get smoked. So here they are with the fat gold chains, the big thick rings, the fat gold chains, the big thick rings. They got all that. They got a crew. They got a team. That's what we used to call them, crews. It wasn't about being in a gang anymore. It was about being in a crew. They had crews. You had this UCC, MBB, the Ball Busters. Back then, that's when the 5%ers started showing up. But the 5%ers, I don't know if I could call them a crew. They stuck together. The First time I saw 5%ers was when I was in high school, back in the early 80s. That's when I really started seeing it. And yeah, you know, homeboys from all over the city that used to go to the high school, you know, we had our little sessions in the lunchroom, people banging out a beat on the table while other people started rapping, trying to rap. Let me see what Hook It Up says. About a week ago, he was at Kroger and saw two teenage boys. One was on the ground crying, holding his shoulder. He had just got jumped coming out of the middle school, and somebody took his shoes. Yeah! Listen, that used to happen on the regular basis back in New York City. That was like, listen, you just didn't go to school by yourself. If you had on a pair of Pumas, a pair of Adidas with fat laces, none of them. You just did not do that. If you did, you were going to get jumped. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. See, the crazy thing about New York City, nobody cares. Okay, if you lived on, for example, if you lived on Walton between, or Morris between Burnside and let's say 180th or 181st, it didn't matter what gang you repped. It didn't matter. That's your block. That's what you defend, period. It don't matter who you belong to, who you were down with. Not back then, not when I was growing. I don't know if things changed, but that's how it was. If you got out your house with a pair of Pumas with the fat laces, some suede Pumas with the fat laces, or some Adidas with the fat laces, you got to go with your homeboys from your block that went to the same school you did. Well, you know, we didn't all go to the same schools, but you have to go with a team. You have to be ready. And you have to be prepared. Brandon! Yeah, I have to throw the bling on because today's Whip It Out Wednesday. What I typically do on Whip It Out Wednesday is that I show the investment accounts of at least 3 of the people that I'm helping out. By the way, this is not financial advice, but I help out because I'm a former stockbroker. I'm a former landlord. I'm a former CEO. I'm a former yellow cab driver. I still drive trucks. I did a bunch of other stuff. I'm a former plumber's assistant. I used to install fire suppression systems in restaurants. I did a lot of things. And hey, from the SIP, oh my God, from the SIP, man. Where you at? How can I? This damn thing. What is in it? It ain't doing it, man. It ain't doing the thing. This ain't doing the thing. I don't know why, but it ain't doing the thing. I don't know what's going on with it. I gotta look at a different phone so I can see the messages, because for some reason this thing ain't scrolling, and it happened on another channel. I noticed that. Going back to what I was saying, so I got experience with real estate. I used to have an MLO, a mortgage lender originator license or something like that. Yeah, I used to have that. Besides having a broker, a stockbroker's license, I had to have an insurance broker license, only because I used to sell annuities, so you had to have that if you sold annuities. I didn't sell insurance products like that. I didn't sell life insurance, and I'm not a fan of life insurance. I had mentioned that before. I could break that down at some other time. But I didn't do car insurance, none of those other insurance. I just did annuities, because it's a financial product hooked up with an insurance product. I had to have an insurance license. And the whole purpose of Whip It Out Wednesday is to encourage people by showing. I can't really show it here because whatever I show, I usually edit. I edit out personal information from the people that send me their screenshots, and I didn't edit anything that was sent to me, so I can't really do it today, right? There's got to be a way of doing this thing. I can't believe that I can't. Just want to scroll to a certain. Man, check it out. Maybe if I flip the camera, see? Or is it just frozen? Ooh, see where I'm at? I'm in a plaza. Alright, that's enough of that. So, the whole purpose is to encourage people to participate in something that we were never shown in the hood. We were never shown anything about investing in the stock market. And matter of fact, if you wanted to invest in the stock market, you have to have a minimum of $10,000 down. Come on now, if you lived in the hood, that's the equivalent of $66,000 today. So to expect somebody from the hood to just have $66,000 to just take a risk with it like that, that's not possible. However, when Robinhood came into the picture, a lot of things changed. Actually, who was it that started? Was it Schwab? I think it was Schwab that started discount trading. Although I went in through the back door. I've told my stories many times. Bottom line was this: I took a risk with some information that I received on an infomercial. I received a booklet, thin booklet, and that thin booklet I had double D. So D. Well, I don't usually do lives for Whip It Out Wednesday, but I'm doing it today because I wanted to do something, but I can't even do it now because oh man, this is ridiculous. I don't even know why. What the hell? Welcome to the live chat. I'm nervous and scared. Oh, yeah. Can I? Yeah, now I can do it. 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 Yeah, there we go. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. Okay. Oh man, if this thing freak out and freak on me again. That's right. I could do this, and then I could do that, and I can see if it did it. I don't see it. Where is it? I don't see it. No, you're good. Alright. So, Double D, you got a wrench, and so does the SIP. The SIP got a wrench. Okay, that got a wrench. Giving out wrenches. Oh, the professor, what? I already know the professor gets a wrench. Come on now, stop playing. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. The professor gets a wrench, of course. The professor and I go way back. I think she and I go back the farthest of everybody who's in here right now, because she and I go back to my other channel. The bling is back, Professor. The bling is back because today is Whip It Out Wednesday. That's why the bling is back. And forgive me, usually on Whip It Out Wednesday I do a long form video and I don't do the live, but I'm doing it this way today because I want to make sure that you get a wrench and a few other people get a wrench. I want you guys there. Now, as far as moderating is concerned, you already know my style. It doesn't bother me that I get trolls on occasion. The trolls don't really bother me, but the professor was actually there when one troll actually destroyed and got my channel removed completely. So I'll leave it up to you guys to decide what to do when the troll pops up. I'm entertained by them. I debate with them sometimes, and not only is it therapeutic, but it makes me, it forces me to resolve and to think and do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Going back to what I was saying, if I can remember what I was saying, right? That sounds slippery. Got some soap going over there. So it sounds slippery. So I usually do long form. And I highlight certain accounts. Like right now, for example, let me see how AJ is doing, right? Oh, by the way, AJ got a raise, and he told me, this is what he told me, that he was transferring $35 a week to his investment account, which is at right now, and I made a mistake. I said 4,000 at one point, but I wasn't looking at his account when I said it. It's at $3,138.22 right now. Okay, he's up for the year. He's outperforming the S&P 500. So he got a raise, and he decided to take a portion of the new amount that he's getting, and he's adding it to whatever he's depositing to his investment account. So instead of transferring $35 a week, he's going to transfer $50 a week now. Let's see what that does to his account. A change in $15 a week. Let's see what that does to his account. Now, he's been at this now for what, like a year and a half? He's at $3,138. The importance. You got the soap today, Double D? I still haven't been home. I still haven't grabbed the soap from the professor, so I got to do an unboxing with that thing, man. But it's taking me so long. I'm out here snatching up every dollar bill that falls from the sky. I'm not playing. I got big things that I got to do. Big things. So back to AJ. So AJ will now be transferring $50. Now, this is a big deal to me, because until Robinhood popped up, people weren't able to just participate in the stock market with such a low amount of money. And with time, other platforms decided to go the route of Robinhood, where I think Robinhood was the first platform that didn't charge a fee for buying or selling stock. And they became so popular, and the other brokerages were paying attention, and they decided to go that route. See, what happens is that when you buy and sell stock, there's a little bit of money left over. Now, to you, it may not be a lot. Like if you want to buy a share of something, it might cost $27. You got $27.10, so you're able to buy one share, and you got 10 cents left over. Well, that's 10 cents for you. But when Robinhood, with all their customers, if they were to do a sweep and scoop up all that extra change, that translates into a lot of money for them. Hey, Queen! That translates into a lot of money for them. Money that they invest to get a return from. Now, when you look at your account, you see your money there. Oh, that's right, Queen. You works at night. By the way, Professor, Queen is out around in your state. She's originally from the South also. And all the other brokerages said, wait a minute, this is a thing. Look how quickly. And so all these brokerages now, their requirements for opening up an account, as far as money's concerned, is anywhere from 0 to 100, which 100 is absolutely doable. Absolutely doable. Of course, 0 is. Now, with the link below with Schwab, you get up to 20 free stocks. But again, it all depends on what amount you open up the account. Okay? Which is an amazing thing. It really is amazing. So back to AJ. So AJ's getting paid, man. Let me see. I'm going to go into his history now. So there are a lot of people that want to get monetized on YouTube. But let's say you're starting off at 0. I've got I don't know how many I have. I got 263 subscribers. It took me like 50 years to get 263 subscribers, right? However, AJ, let's say AJ started or to start his own channel now, he already made what, $33.41 of residual income. $33. That doesn't sound like much, but you got to remember, when I first started Whip It Out Wednesday and I was highlighting AJ's account, he was getting pennies. Now he's got $33.41. That's from one of his stocks, because he's got 5 others, and they're all going to be kicking in residual income, and his residual income is going to keep growing, and as it grows, it gets reinvested, and as it gets reinvested along with the $50 a week that he's now putting into his account, it's compounding. Listen, what? Look. Now you got me started. Now you got me rolling. Look, what? Hold on. He's got 6 corporations, not 5 stocks. 6 corporations. He's got stocks in all 6 corporations. But hold on a second. Hold on, because now y'all got me amped up. I'm gonna find something right here. No, let me tell you something, Queen. You're gonna see something a lot more impressive. Straight up and down. With time, you're gonna see something more impressive. Yeah. I mean, y'all. No, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for, bruh. I'm looking for it. Bruh. I'm gonna find it right here, right now. Because this is something, okay? What the heck? Oh, man. I'm going to find something right here to bring the point home. Just to bring it home, right? Y'alls. So should I do it every week, Professor? Should I do it every week? Y'alls. I'm going to say a quote from Albert Einstein, the genius, about compound interest. about what the Queen is going to experience. Yes, Queen, if you're still here, this is something you're going to experience, and this is something that AJ is experiencing, JB. Okay. JB, AJ, CJ, the Queen, Jeddah. There's one other person I forget. Yeah, the group is growing. The group is growing. Do you like this format, or do you prefer the long form when I come out and say butter in the background? You guys love butter for some reason. I don't know what it is, but you love it. Let me get to Albert, because this is serious what Albert said. This is crazy, all right? Butter. So check it out. Don't make me laugh. Check it out. Albert Einstein is widely attributed with calling compound interest the, quote, eighth wonder of the world, and saying, he who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it. That's the more important part, that last part. He who doesn't understand it pays it. Oh, man. Butter. And then, look, you guys got me saying butter. This quote highlights the powerful and sometimes counterintuitive nature of compound interest, a key concept in personal finance and investing. Saturday, huh? You seriously, Professor, don't amp me up. Don't gas me. Do you really enjoy the Saturday Night Live? Guys, do you enjoy Saturday Night Live? Seriously. Do I have to put my puppy face on? You guys like it? I'm going to tell you something, whether you believe it or not. Saturday Night Live for me is therapeutic. Believe it or not. It is. It's therapeutic. What? Revoked all student visas? Nah. When? No. Really? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's therapy for me. And by the way, I've been revisiting Booker T. Washington. Was Booker T one of the ones that did the whole what they call them, the special aid or whatever? Okay, yeah, let's revisit, because he was part of that. What do you call them? The Gifted 10, what was that called? Well, so AJ's doing well. Yeah, founder of Tuskegee. That's right. A man who was born into slavery, illiterate, the talented 10. Yeah. But wasn't Booker T down with that though? The penny? What do you mean the penny going away? Oh, come on now. What do you mean? What do you mean? The penny going... What do you mean the penny going away? What is y'all talking about? Oh, he wasn't. Okay. The penny's going away? Oh, man. Wow. Oh my God, so if I have any pennies, I gotta... Okay. Let's see. Here's another qualified dividend. $7.22 from another one. Not the other one, but the other one, another one, $6.24. That's every 3 months, y'all. What is that? How much is that? 6. $46 right now. The Emancipator. Wow. Well, Princess, I'm glad you came back. I was a little worried. Bling bling in the house. So the bling bling, y'all. The bling bling is what a lot of young men in the hood looked up to. These guys had all the money, they had all the clothes, they went to all the clubs, they had all the girls, except George. George he liked to play the skin flute. But it was this image. It was this image that grabs our attention. I mean, understand that this wasn't just to show how much money. This was a display of courage and power. Courage! Because you sported this, you were a target. You were a target. All the vultures were just flying around you. Even people within your own circle were just waiting to plot against you so that they can get this, because they wanted to sport it. So imagine, it wasn't about stocks, it wasn't about bonds, that wasn't the conversation. Yes, it was about business, but the type of business that would encourage someone to display these kind of things. Now, if you want to talk about business in the hood and this type of business, then we're talking, right? Oh, the shade. Like the shade professor. Pizzazz. So, what type of people were they? What type of people that I grew up with that were sporting this kind of stuff, that were selling the kind of stuff they were selling, that were harming people physically, justifying everything they did, of course. So if they're justifying all that, you know where I place them. I got a name for that, right? They're transactional. Yeah. Wepa! Lily, welcome in. Yo, Lily, you remember this back in Brooklyn, back in the day? Thank you, Lily. Let me lean back so you can get all of it. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So this was the thing. It wasn't about stocks. It wasn't about bonds. Nobody in the hood in my time when I was a teen was talking about that. No, we were mesmerized by the display of courage, the display of everything these guys had. Oh, you saw that? You caught that? I got more than one. Look at the size of that thing. I mean, size doesn't matter, right? Size doesn't matter, right? Look, I got a little one too. This is probably closer to the truth. Stop it. Anyway, but these guys were looking over their shoulder. You understand? They were looking over their shoulder. They couldn't trust anyone. Who could they trust? Nobody. Not even family. You couldn't even trust. Listen, my sister, the one that passed not too long, my sister was tied up in her room. She was renting a room out of an apartment. She was tied up there with her son. Oh, yeah. She was tied up in there with her son, tied up, while everybody else in the apartment got slaughtered. Because it turns out that apartment was a stash house. everybody got slaughtered. She didn't get slaughtered because she knew the guy that was doing the slaughtering. And he happened to be the cousin of the victim. You couldn't even not even your own family. You couldn't even trust them. Man, just thinking about that, you know what? Just thinking of Army issue. Just thinking about that, I'm gonna take a blast. I'm gonna take a hit. Take a hit of that odium. Hold up. I'm gonna take a hit. Snap top. Hey. I ain't going direct with that. I might have to pour it in a separate cup. I'm gonna pour it in a second cup so I don't burn my face. What do you guys think? Should I sing country music? Cause if I put my lips to it. Hold up, y'all. Get that odium. Who that say what? Yeah. Oh, it's hot? What? Hold up, y'all. Let me take a blast. Ooh. Ooh. My goodness. Cheap ass ring, the thing fell off. Where's it at? Where it at? Yo! I dropped my crown, y'all. Where are you? I dropped my crown. I guess I'm gonna have to put glue on it, right? How did they put it on? Glue? Yeah, something. So the point of Whip It Out Wednesday, to encourage everybody. Oh my God, what happened? Oh wow. Sorry about that. Anyway, let me give you a wrench too, because you know what? Because yeah. Because I can. A concussion? What the heck? Did he fall? Professor, you laughing at my crown? Listen to how you got me laughing. Why you do that? Oh my goodness, sorry about that. Did he lose consciousness? Was he complaining about being dizzy? Did he throw up? Now that this is alive, I'm privileged. You laughing, Professor? See, Professor? You inspire me. I want to show everybody. Why nuts? Yep. These are pretty good, by the way. What happened, Princess? Hey, they're laughing at me, Princess. You know what I'm saying? Pigeons that got on a Delta flight. Professor, what kind of stuff you be reading? Do you need some of these? These nuts? I mean, what are you reading? I'm not sure. Okay. Get back to stocks, huh? You want to know about my nuts? I don't know, my nuts are pretty popular. So the stock market. Okay, look. Let me just say this. And remember, this is not financial advice, but let me say this. I'm expecting a downturn in the market. Okay? I'm expecting it. There are a lot of stuff, and people have been reporting a lot of the stuff that's been going on, but you're not seeing the impact just yet. But people are talking about it as if, yes, I worry about you, princess, because I care. I care so much about you that I worry about you. So you got all these things going on. The professor's been talking about this thing ad nauseum because she's got good reason to be talking about it as often as she has. Let's get some light up. Okay. So people are reading off data, but it's lagging information. Okay? It's all lagging information. They're trying to put together all the pieces of what to expect. They're speculating at data, but it's data that hasn't caught up to us yet. But they're making comparisons with what the conditions were with what the data was reflecting at that time with things that they're seeing right now. Here's something that I saw that caught me off guard. So I picked up some melons. You guys want to see my melons? Can't show. YouTube won't let me. But I went to pick up some melons here in Florida. Not too far from, somewhere between Orlando and Tampa. On the west side of I-75. Usually when I go to a farm to pick up produce, there are a lot of people working. There's a lot of movement. They have these school buses that they cut the tops off the school buses a lot of times and pick up the produce in those school buses, pack them in there, and they bring them over to the docking area. They actually package it there. They put them in these big bins and they load up the trailers on those loading docks / packaging docks. There's a thing though, like I said, there's usually a lot of activity. There's usually a lot of, I'm trying to figure out what to call them. They are immigrants. Are they undocumented? Are they documented? I don't know. I don't know. But it is cheap labor. And when I got there this time, I had to wait for a loader. In other words, there was no activity in the loading area. None. Zero. There was one person with her childrens in the office, and she made the phone call so that the loader could come. And it turns out that the loader was the owner of the farm. I didn't ask, but I was curious to know, where are your farm hands, bruh? What's happening? Where the people's at? Now, I know that Governor DeSantis before put his foot down on undocumented migrants and scared the bananas out of the migrants, and some who were here legally volunteered not to even show up. Oh, princess, don't go! Oh, she's mad at you? Oh, don't cry. Don't cry. You know we love you, princess, so don't cry. You have people who love you. Oh, I hope your mom stops being angry with you. And I hope that just before that first tear drops, just remember, there's a bunch of people here that love you. So you're not alone. I'm not not alone. That's not what it says. So don't forget it. It's just a silly phase going through. Am I gonna get a copyright strike just for singing their song? I hope not. Please. And it wasn't even for that long. 3 bars? Can I get in trouble? Oh. Anyway. Take another blast. So, what's happening right now, or what I suspect is going to happen, is that the next earnings, second quarter earnings, and the second quarter GDP report, I don't think it's going to come out all that pleasing. I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't really tell you. But, alright, princess, bye. You think so, Professor? You think I'm putting it nicely? You might be right. This prolonged game. Bye, princess. Did you leave and come back and you're leaving again? Is that what you did? Bye. This game with the tariffs. The worst part of this game, and part of the reason why it's the worst part, is because it's prolonged, and our allies, and they're really not hiding this fact, our allies are slowly but surely separating from the U.S. as far as trade is concerned. And not just trade. I heard a little something. Maybe the professor heard about it too. I don't know. But she still has her connections with her peoples back in the Navy. If you do. The sharing of intel has taken a hit. Our allies are not sharing intel quite as vigorously as they used to. There was a movie, and it's important to reference this movie, because right now there are plenty of Americans that have this air of superiority because we're the most powerful military force in the world, and because we're the largest economy in the world. So, do you guys remember that movie with what's his face? Where aliens came and started destroying us, killing us. The modern version. I don't know if it's War of the Worlds. What's his face? The Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, where we get invaded by aliens. I'm trying to look it up, but you guys don't come up with the name. Here we go. It is War of the Worlds. It is War of the Worlds, right? Now, what's the connection that I'm trying to make? Here's the connection, y'all. In War of the Worlds, these beings came from another part of the universe. And their technology was superior to ours. Their weapons were superior to ours. Can't say about economy. I don't know nothing about their economy, but it kind of relates to how the U.S. is right now. When you compare the U.S. military with other militaries throughout the world, we're superior. We've got incredible firepower. And that's how the aliens work. But like I said, because of the strained relationships that are occurring now between the United States and our allies are slowly withdrawing from the U.S. These aliens came, superior firepower, damn near decimated humanity. However, it wasn't a big thing that destroyed them. It was a little thing. It was a virus that destroyed the aliens. With all the nuclear weapons that the humans had, and all their tanks and all their nothing. The little thing destroyed them. The little thing killed them. The virus. And it's the little things that are going to be eating away at this country that's going to open the door to our own destruction. It's the little things. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Professor, what do you think? Anybody else got an opinion on this? Please let me know. Say it now. Say it out. And nobody answered my question. Should I sing country music? I don't like country music. But if I can sing it, I'll sing it. No to what? No to what, Professor? No to what? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think the professor's telling me no. I shouldn't sing country music to y'all. Oh my God, okay. Can you sense, Professor? Can you sense? Can you sense? Oh, damn. In capital letters! Ha! Dang! Wow, you got the extended version out of me. Good Lord have mercy. Back to the stock market. Is that going to impact the stock market? Of course it is. Of course it is. There are going to be, okay, so you might, if you happen to stumble upon one of those channels that report financing or report stock market activity, bond activity, you might hear them say something to the effect of risk off, or a flight to safety, or maybe even both. What does that mean for all y'all who don't think? Man, by the way, listen, I'm going to tell you something straight. I don't offer courses. I used to teach for free. I stopped that. I don't think it's fair. I mentioned it before. I don't think it's fair that people paid a lot of thousands of dollars, and I don't think it's fair that after paying thousands of dollars, somebody like me comes along and starts teaching this stuff for free. I don't think it's fair. They already paid their money, and for these people that are making a living teaching others, it's not fair for them either. It is the same as a professor, right, Professor? After going through 4 years, 6 years, 20 years of study, to have to go into a university and teach as well for free? No. Professors get paid, so I don't go around. And please be careful with all these content creators offering courses. Please, can you just do that much? If you don't want to participate in the stock market, that's fine. But don't fall for these content creators selling courses. Don't do that. Do not do that. Now, yes, I still do teach, but at a personal level. And it's only with a select few. That's it. Only with a select few. And I don't charge them. I still don't charge. But it's not like I was doing before where I had an audience. No audience. Sorry. And honestly, a lot of these people that are getting involved in these courses, their motivations have more to do with their ego than anything else. They want to learn the terminology. They want to mesmerize people. They want to turn that into a party favorite, where they can bust out a platform and give everybody technical analysis on something that's going on. Show off. Do you want to show off or do you want to make money? I'm going to tell you right now, the ones that make the real money are the ones that simplify their approach to the stock market as much as possible. Those are the ones that make you. Warren Buffett. That's my go-to guy. What I learned about Warren Buffett, don't need nothing else. And he didn't, I read books about Warren Buffett, and those books didn't divulge strategies. Well, not major strategies. Not no. Listen, my education in that world cost $42,000, okay? And I was offering that damn thing for free. Doesn't have to be that complicated. I gave the main ingredient several times, especially on every Whip It. I think I said on every Whip It Out Wednesday. The two ingredients, and it's easier said than done, y'all. Don't think for 1 second that just because it comes out of my mouth and you're listening to it and you're absorbing it, it's magically gonna happen. No, it ain't gonna magically happen. That is not easy. The two ingredients that you need are not easy, especially within our culture. It is not easy. Discipline and consistency. How could that not be easy? Well, look at what AJ did. AJ got an increase in pay. Did he decide to take that increase in pay and just start buying stuff? Become an impulsive consumer, like so many people are, impulsive consumers? Did he do that? Did he do that? No, he didn't do that. I just told you earlier today, and for those of y'all who came in after I said it, what? Oh shit, okay. Handle that. Oh man. That's a blow. That's an obstacle. I think you can overcome that obstacle, but alright. Frustrating. Alright, Professor. So, discipline and consistency. Now, I just told you that AJ went ahead and he didn't just he increased the amount he was putting in weekly into his trading account. Why? Because not his investment account. I'm not going to call it a trade. You can trade in the account, but no, he's not trading. So within the investment account, he has now increased the amount that he's depositing. He went up from $35 a week to $50 a week. That's what percentage? That is like a 60% increase or something like that. I don't know. Somebody could do the math. Pull out your calculators and do that math. But it's like a 60% increase into his investment account. What that mean? Listen, that mean that he is going to. Okay, you don't have to answer this question. None of y'all. Okay, do not have to answer this question. AJ has his emergency money set aside already, and he did it this way, just so that you know. He didn't stop putting money into his investment account only to fill his emergency account. No, he did them both simultaneously. So he got his emergency account all set. It was a sacrifice. Everything is back to normal after he finished building up his emergency account while he was building up his investment account. Well, let me ask you, and at any point in time he could liquidate all the shares that he has in his investment account, and he can transfer it over to his account if need be. A process that would take probably a week. But that would have to be something that would be above and beyond his urgent needs. How many people... Don't answer this question. Don't say yes or no. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. But I want you to think. Do you have $3,000 that's earning you money? When I started with AJ, what was it, hundreds? A few hundred, 100 maybe? I don't remember. I don't remember what the first video represented, what it was, what it had. I don't remember. But now, he's got $3,138.22 right now. Right now. You guys requested that I do this every week, so I will. And we'll see what kind of increases they're going to be in his account. He went from getting pennies every 3 months to now getting $45. Because this is you guys remember, for all of y'all who were checking out AJ's account from the beginning. So by the end of 2024, by the beginning of 2024, he started out with $77 for income for the year. Expected income. To finishing off, what was it, $135 or something like that? For ending of the year. Expected income of $77. No, expected income of $77 and 140 something. Basically doubling the expected income. So far, the expected income is closer to 300. Closer to 300. Without the $15 increase, so that it's $50 a week. It's 300, but it's going to be more now. So in 1 year, he's going to make about $300 of money that he's going to make without AD. Thanks for still being here, man. It was getting cold over here, thinking that he wasn't here. And now my bling is blinging even more now that you popped up. Thanks for making my bling even louder, even stronger. So 1 year. Oh, thank you, D. You know I need your support, right? You know I need that? I need that in my life. And where is Heat in Color podcast at, man? Now I'm getting worried. $300 of income. Remember when $77 didn't sound like a whole hell of a lot either. 77 less. $77 sounded like nothing. For those who remember, I made that point. I made the point that this is, but this is $77 that he's not actually doing any kind of physical labor. He's not doing physical labor. It's just appearing in his account because I love calling the money that he has, the money that anybody has in their investment account, I love to call them employees. And those employees work for you. And what do? They create more employees. And the group just keeps getting bigger. And as they get bigger, they make more employees. And before you know it, they make so many employees that you just start taking a serious look at your job. And really, at this point, you're scratching your head saying, "Wait a minute. Let me check and see what kind of income this thing is generating." And then when you look at it, you say, "Wait a minute. I'm making just as much income with these dividends than I am working." And you want to know the beautiful part about the income from dividends? Any stock that you've been holding prior to the 30th day of a dividend X date, you're probably paying 15% tax. You're paying long-term what do you call it? Long-term capital gains. So you're probably paying 15% on that, as opposed to whatever the hell you're paying now for taxes. You're probably paying somewhere around 27, 28%. Big chunk of your salary is going to taxes. But you would have to pay half that. Imagine that. Imagine if you made $100,000 a year, tolerating nonsense from customers and co-workers and supervisors. Then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, I really don't feel like going in today. And you don't go in. And then the next day comes and you're looking at how much you're making in dividends and you're saying, hey, I really don't feel like going in today either. Well, before you do that, I hope you wait until you can at least double your salary with dividends. And it can happen very quickly. Do you guys know what the magic number is in accumulation of a combination of cash and assets? You know what the magic number is? You know what the hardest number to get to? After this number, it gets so easy. You're not going to believe it. The hardest amount to reach is $100,000. And then from $100,000 to $1 million, it's so much easier. It's incredible. I remember Munger said that. Buffett's ex-partner. He's ex because he's no longer with us. Passed on. He passed on to investment heaven. Munger's the one that said that. And it's true. It's true. You get to 100,000, that's your first hurdle, and once you get from there to $1 million, it's so sweet. It's delicious. It's like a blueberry muffin. So guys, I talked up a storm. I'm not a fan. I'm not as big a fan of this format as I am the other format with StreamYard. I like for people to come up and talk to me online. This ain't too bad because I don't have that many people commenting, so. By the way, why don't I have that many people commenting? But in the StreamYard, people come up and people can engage so much better. Almost like you're there. I try to touch these people. Back away. In any event, Jared, man! Oh man, I'm so happy you're here. I'm gonna stick around a little longer, guys, because Jared's here. Okay? I know I was saying my goodbyes, but I'm not gonna do that. Not while Jared's here. What it do, Jared? You see, I'm blinging. I'm going all out. I got the big dollar bill. Hold up. I got the little dollar bill. Got the fat gold chains. I got the big thick rings. Okay? Yo, check this out though. Okay? Ain't nobody got this one. Okay? I got the spinner. Okay? I got my dollar spinning. Okay? Oh snap! Really? You just got off the line? Okay. Hey, hey, Homestead. You know Jared, right? You see me blinging? I'm all blinged out. You see the shades? My man. I have to do it. This is Whip It Out Wednesday for me. And every Wednesday, I try to encourage people to focus less on being impulsive consumers and think more about building something in the stock market. And then if they decide later on to become impulsive consumers, it's so much easier. There's less to stress about, less to worry. Because you got that money making you. You got your employees making you more employees. You're building up your power base. Ooh, look at that grip right there. Ooh, yeah. So that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. And I bring up edited screenshots of people that have access to me, reach out to me. Hey, Yolanda, man, what you doing, man? I'm gonna do something. Tell me if you feel this, Yolanda. Oh, Yolanda, I've been wanting to do that to you. Tell me if you feel that. Feel that? You feel that, Yolanda? Matter of fact, Jared came in. I like Jared. Jared's a cool dude. Jared's a cool. If it wasn't for Jared being a cool dude, I wouldn't do this. I just did it. Did it, y'all. Yeah. My people. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. That's why I didn't. Okay, so for my Whip It Out Wednesdays, I usually do long form. I don't do lives. But I did a live and in this format because I usually do StreamYard, but I did it in this format because I wanted to bless some people. And y'all got the blessings. It's because I love you guys. And I want you to have bling just like this. Bling, bling in the house! What? Oh, yeah. Look at that dollar sign. How it shines. Look at the bling in it. London, don't laugh, okay? Size don't matter. Like a little one. Okay? Don't laugh. And top it all off. Look at that bad boy right there, Yolanda. You impressed? Are you impressed to the point, Yolanda, where you're singing that song from Prince? Huh? I want to be the only one that you call one man. Yo. Right? Oh, the professor left. Is she back? She don't want me to sing it. She ain't back. She left. She left. Look at that. See that? I can stay like this for like until I fall asleep. You know? I can stay just like this with the bling blasting out. You got to see the video from the beginning because I broke down why I wear these things for my Whip It Out Wednesdays. How thick that damn thing is. Huh? Huh? Yeah. Let's see from the beginning. So you gotta see the what do you call it? Take a glass. You want me to tell you right now, Yolanda, why I sport this? Bling, bling, that's right. That's right, Homestead, bling, bling. Every time you roll out, bling, 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 bling. I'm in Florida. Let me see what town I'm in. Because I don't know what town I'm in. So I was working the county jail one day, and there was an inmate that didn't know me. I'm in Alachua, off of I-75, north of, I think I'm north of Gainesville. I think so. Well, I'm close to Gainesville. So, you know how people say, you feel me? So I was trying to establish some rapport with this inmate. Just knew he don't know me. So I said, you feel me? And he felt like being an ass, and he said, you smell me? And I said, what? You taste me? When I said that, everybody bursted out laughing. He felt so, he was angry. He was really angry. But I had comebacks. Like, I was the wrong one. Because I had comebacks for days. There were a few times where the population had more comebacks than me, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I just had to put my head down and walk back to the bubble. They call me Bubble Gangster, Bubble G. Everyone called me Bubble G. That was crazy. That was crazy. Bubble G. So, Yolanda, so do you want me to explain? Yes. Yes or no? Do you really? Want me to explain? Break it down? Once again? I'm just gonna assume that you want me to explain it. Because you ain't never seen me linked up like this. So I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in Harlem. In the 80s and 90s is when my generation stopped becoming mules and started assuming the role of sellers and distributors in the neighborhood. So some of the guys that I grew up with, they were more courageous than others. Some were crazier than others. And those who were crazy and courageous, they were the ones that would sport fat gold chains in the street. Now, of course, they were sporting these things on the block. So if you go outside of the block, you better have an entourage. If not, you were going to get smoked. But this is what my generation saw growing up with eyes of admiration, because this was a representation of courage and lots of money. Like my homeboy George was making $52,000 a week, and he wasn't even a big shot, and he was making $52,000 a week, and of course he was blinged out. Friends from other groups, blinged out. I go home, I see my parents, tired, busted from working all day, to make how much? Yet, go outside, bling bling on my homeboys that are my same age group, 18, 19, 17, bling bling, wearing the most expensive stuff, going to clubs, ordering the most expensive drinks, buying drinks for their homeboys, buying drinks for all 20 of their girlfriends that were sitting there at the same time, driving around in Jags, brand new Jags, brand new Beamers, brand new BMWs, they had brand new Suzukis. Talking about motorcycles now, brand new Hondas, brand new whatever. They had it brand new, fresh out the box. I had another homeboy of mine, 19 years old also, I think. Was he 19 at the time? No, he was 20. He crossed over the bridge into New Jersey to go buy a mall. You hear me? A mall at age 20. To buy it. So, this is what captivated our attention. Only I survived. I survived, moved on, and met people who never wore this stuff, ever. And yet, the money they had dwarfed, absolutely dwarfed the biggest kingpin in the hood. Dwarfed it. made their money look insignificant. And guess what? They didn't have to be looking over their shoulders, wondering if some FBI agent was going to snatch them up, or the ops. None of that. But those people, they had two things going for them. They had businesses, and they had a stock portfolio. Instead of my homeboys with the bling bling that all of us admired so much. Many of them are in grave sites spread out throughout the city, or they got life with no possibility of parole. So this is a reminder. This is a reminder to me, and an impression that I make, and an impression that I make to every young person that perhaps might be in the hood, that might see my video. Maybe somebody, yeah, amongst other things, yeah, that might have their attention drawn, at least their attention drawn. No matter how ridiculous they think I look, I just want their attention. I just want them to know there are options out there. There are paths that they can take where they don't have to be looking over their shoulder, where they don't have to be worried about the pew pew. I went through it. I went through it. I went through it deeper than what I care to admit. So, I got the street cred, but I got the other cred too. And the other cred is better. That somebody doesn't believe me, that they think I'm a punk, that they think I'm making stuff up. That's all fine. There are things that I can say that anyone who was around there will know, and I'm satisfied with that. They know that I know. They know what I know, who I know, and what I needed to do to be around them and survive. How young am I now? Or how young was I then? If it's now, I'm 60 now. I'm 60. So regarding finance and why I say it's better on the other side, I was a landlord, I was a CEO, I was a stockbroker. And I was a mortgage originator, I think that's what that license was. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm 60. I'm 60. You can go on YouTube right now and see footage of areas in the Bronx that I grew up. You can see what Harlem was like when I grew up there. I went to PS 125. I used to have to walk from my house in between some projects to get to school. What would I say to a landlord that tried to convince me that I didn't have the gas line, that I didn't have a gas line in my house? Well, what's the landlord? What do you think the landlord's goal is by telling you that? That you don't have a gas line in your house. Are they trying to get you to leave? Is that the point? Is he trying to say that you're without one of the legal requirements to be able to have somebody occupy that apartment? Because that's what it sounds like. Either that landlord just bought the property and was told a lie by the previous landlord, You get a bill monthly? Okay, so certain states require certain appliances, certain structures in order for you to be able to rent a unit as a livable unit for a person or for a family. Without that, the landlord might still be able to rent the unit, but if he gets caught, he's going to be in some serious trouble. And if the tenant knows the laws and the rules, they can get him in serious trouble. Oh, a house? It doesn't matter. House or apartment, it doesn't matter. It has to have. There are some structures that are required. There are measurements that have to be in coordination with those structures. And if they're not, they have to be brought up to code immediately. House or apartment, there are codes, there are building codes that landlords have to. Hey, hi Tracy. There are building codes that have to be in compliance with, and those codes are checked upon every year. However, the landlord doesn't get a report as to what the new codes are, which makes for a funny situation. I got to experience that myself. It cost me tens of thousands of dollars just to resolve that. And a simple thing at that. 3 steps. 3 steps. Yeah, 3 steps. I found out the hard way because at the time I already had my plate full. At the time that I was a landlord, I was working about 90. I was averaging 93 hours a week, averaging. So I was working for the state, I was working for the brokerage, and I was working in trucking, all 3 at the same time while I was a landlord. So there were some things that, well, you know, SIP, depending on where you are, yes, inspectors are supposed to come through, check things out, but some inspectors have good relationships with some landlords. Landlords that have a lot of property can treat the inspector to a nice lunch, or maybe a vacation or something. And it's a wrap. It can happen. It can happen. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of those. I say unfortunately. But let me tell you, building codes get upgraded, they change, but the landlord is none the wiser. And sometimes you've got yeah, they're supposed to do their job. You're right, Sid. You're right, D. They're supposed to do their job. The key word is supposed. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there's corruption. There can be corruption. Money talks. Hey, that's my brother right there. Shalom, my brother. Yikwaba. It's as a landlord, I went through the bad side. The injustice was against me. as a landlord. But I understand exactly. A huge mistake that I made, and if anybody ever wants to become a landlord, listen to this carefully. If you are a good tenant, don't think for 1 second that other people are going to be good tenants. Don't think for 1 second. I had a tenant in one of my properties. This guy liked the booger sugar, right? One of many things that he did, besides destroying some of the property, was to demand that I deduct $50 off his rent every week just because he was taking the garbage from the back side of the house to the front of the house. I had another one. They were behind on the rent. I could totally understand. Oh, let me finish with this guy. So what he did was he broke up some of the stairs from the common area, some of the stairs. He did it himself. And the reason I know is because my nephew, who used to work with him, told me what he did. And then he laid down on the floor, had his wife take pictures, acting like he fell, and sued me. This is how it works with the town, right? So he calls the town. Now, do I have friends and family that know how to repair that, fix it right away? Of course. Here's the deal, though. Had I done that, and the inspector comes, because now there's a lawsuit pending, the city got called, the inspector comes over, I'm at work, I don't know what the hell's going on, and I get a letter from the lawyer, and before the letter arrives, I already hear it from my nephew. I go over, I say, what the hell is it? Me and my nephew took care of the stairs. Okay, so here's the lesson learned. When the inspector comes, did anybody pull a permit for that? Can't lie. No, nobody pulled a permit. We just repaired it. It was a quick repair. Oh no, there's no quick repair. You're supposed to pull a permit for that. So hold on to this. So he gives me a ticket for hundreds of dollars for not pulling a permit to repair those stairs. I had to find somebody with a license that was bonded to tear those steps apart. So I had to pay to get the stairs tore apart, and to pull a permit to do that. Then I had to pull another permit with another licensed and bonded individual, if it wasn't the same person, to rebuild it. And it had to be done within 2 days. And I had the summons to pay. And that's just a tiny expense of what the total amount was for dealing with that dude. Because I had to pay for an attorney. He didn't have to pay for an attorney, because his attorney took the case in order to get paid after we settled out. So I lost out in, I don't know what it was, $80,000, $90,000 just for that. Just for 3 stairs. Just for 3 stairs. And the guy, he did so much more damage, it was insane. And to get him out, it took me a whole year to get him out without getting 1 penny of rent. Keep in mind, that's one of the properties that I have where I have a mortgage, and the bank ain't trying to hear nothing. The bank ain't trying to hear a damn thing. No. You got a monthly mortgage, buddy. I'm sorry to hear what you're going through, but guess what? Oh, they weren't the only ones. They weren't the only ones. I had a couple that have 3 kids. They live on the 2nd floor. A month goes by, no rent. Okay. I bump into the wife. Listen, we're sorry. My husband got into a car accident. The car was totaled. He's got an injury. He's got a back injury. He can't go to work right now. We're behind. Da-da-da. Month number 2. No rent. Okay. Oh, listen, wife again. I got fired. They had a pretty good insurance policy. Nice brand new car in the meantime, so they can commute. So I can expect for her to get a job while her husband heals and all that. And listen, once you get settled down, you can start the rent process, and you just add a little something to make up for the balance. Does that sound fair to you guys? Does that sound fair? I'm telling them, listen, I'm going to cut you slack. I'm going to let you find you a job, get yourself back on your feet, start paying, and then just add a little something. It doesn't have to be like a gigantic amount, something that, okay, sounds fair, right? Okay, sounds fair. Man, by the way, what kind of auto insurance you got? There wasn't no auto insurance. They bought that damn car. They bought that car. They didn't pay the rent, but they bought the damn car. A brand new car. Huh. And then, guess what? Because I'm looking at them like they're crazy. Like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? Guess what arrives in the mail? A letter from their lawyer. They were suing me too. They were the second of like 5 lawsuits in 3 years. Lawsuit after lawsuit. Happy Wednesday, Daniel Berry. And I try to be good. I didn't want to be those landlords, those slumlords that people were. I wasn't trying to be that. I wasn't trying to be that. But you got some unscrupulous people out there. For real. And they put you in a really bad financial position. And here's the crazy part, right? I'm a correction officer. I'm going into court and the judge knows that I'm a correction officer. Every time I went to court, the judge treated me like I was pure dirt. Pure dirt. Cool, Tracy. Pure dirt. Like I committed a felony. That's how I was treated every time. Like, wow. Seriously? But at least one member of the court, I don't remember, she was a clerk, I don't remember who she was. But as I was leaving the courtroom, she said, "You did a great job. You, um, you kept it together. You didn't lash out. You did the right thing." I guess most of the landlords that show up there start mother effing the judge, and it goes downhill quick. Oh, the tenants were, they were all Hispanic. They were all Hispanic. Keep in mind, this is in a blue state. This isn't in a red state. This is in a blue state. Like New York City. New York City's got this crazy ass rent control. Insane. If you're a landlord, I don't know how you could possibly make it. I don't know how. There are people that have been living in an apartment for like 50 years and they're only paying like $90 a month. Yeah, that's New York City. New York City is like, that's why, some landlords were starting to burn their buildings down so that they can get the insurance money and get the hell out of that. Because the rent, they can only increase the rent for like, I don't know, 3%, but 3% of $24 ain't a whole hell of a lot. And there was a lot of gentrification going on in the Upper West Side. When I lived on the Upper West Side, that's what was going on, because the landlords couldn't take it. The minute somebody moved out, they got somebody to occupy the apartment so that they didn't rent it out. And then they started renovating, and then they would copy paste and do the same thing with other apartments in the same building until finally everybody was gone. And then they started coming up with these outrageous rents, like, oh my God, rents. Yeah, and no, my situation was in Connecticut. Which is just as bad. No, it's not just as bad. It's a little better than New York. New York is out of control. New York is out of control. To be a landlord in New York? Yeah. I was always fair with my tenants. Always. Always. But I ran across some devious tenants, really bad. I didn't mind working with the responsible tenants that I had. I didn't mind working with them. They had an emergency, okay, take care of that. We'll resolve ours later on. No big deal. Remember, at the time, I was driving a truck. I was working corrections. I was working as a stockbroker. I was doing mortgages. So there was money flowing in. So I try my damnedest to be fair. My damnedest. Yeah, I wasn't that tight, but there are people. Yeah, the responsible ones were good. But there was some, man, listen, that one guy that I told you about with the steps, that wasn't all he did. He was destroying the property. He was destroying. Oh my God, listen. Don't get me started. This guy had a busted ass, washer, laundry machine. Busted, didn't work for shit. Should have been in the garbage. But because of the things that he was destroying in the building, I decided to change the lock to the basement so that he wouldn't access the basement and try fooling around with the heaters and the water heaters and the boilers and all that, and the pipes and the electrical. Nah. So I'm at the jail and I get a phone call. The lieutenant calls me in. She's got a phone call, man. Cops. Hello? Is Is this such and such? Yeah. We're on our way over to arrest you. I said, what? Arrest me? What the hell would you want to come and arrest me for? That busted washing machine, because that's his property and he doesn't have access to it because I changed the lock, that's a crime. The cop cut me some slack. I told him, listen, I understand what you're saying, but this guy was causing damage, man. I've been going to court because of this dude. He's been causing damage. He's been destroying stuff. And if I let him have access to that basement, well, you got to give him a key and all that. We're not going to arrest you, but you got to give him a key and all that. All right, fine. It was that one guy alone was Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, no, you're very welcome, Yolanda, because a lot of times people don't know the flip side. It's not just with that. Also, between being an employee and being a business owner, there's a gap when it comes to understanding the difference between the two. Sometimes employees, well, first of all, there are some people that choose to be employees and they're fine with that because they don't want the aggravation of supervising other people. They want to just come in, do their work, go home and get a paycheck, and that's understandable. There are people that do want to go up the ladder, maybe for more pay, or maybe they're just power hungry. Those tend to be the bootlickers amongst the laborers. A lot of bootlickers, they love kissing up to the managers with the hopes that one day they can be a manager too. And they keep bootlicking their way up the ladder. Disgusting, in my opinion. Now, someone who establishes a business, if one of those people who worked and didn't understand what it was to start a business and thought that it's got to be easy, because look at these guys, they're sitting in their climate controlled office all day telling jokes. When they start their own business, they realize it ain't all fun and games, and they tend to work more for the same pay. That's why you went solo. I used to want to create a singing group, okay? It was hard getting people together for practices. Hard getting people together. Iguala. The most difficult thing about owning a business is dealing with human beings. I was in a band also, by the way. I was a bass player for a Latin band. And no, they don't want it like you do. Welcome back, princess. Wow, the tears have stopped. You're back. I'm so happy. Thank you, princess. Thank you for coming back. Yeah, they don't want it like you do. No, of course not. No. And okay, I'm going to recommend a book for you. It's called The E-Myth Revisited. The E-Myth Revisited. I recommend you read that. It's about delegating. It's about delegating responsibility to people. Did I miss it? You're going to enjoy that book. It's difficult. You start your own business, you're going to realize just how difficult it is. You're going to start to realize what the owners of these companies had to go through just to get themselves established long enough, because there are thresholds. You got the year, you got the 5 year, and if you get past that, there's a good chance your business is going to continue. Continue. I didn't say grow. Continue. Growth is another thing. Starting a business requires a certain skill. Keeping it alive up to 5 years, that requires another skill. Making it grow requires yet another skill. And, well, do you know anybody who works as a manager at a Burger King, McDonald's, or Taco Bell, anything like that? If you ever get a chance, have a sit down with them. Let them vent. Let them tell you what it's like. Let them tell you what it's like. Let them tell you, because many of them are, what do you call these things? They're independently owned and operated. What do you call those? But they're franchises. But under a franchise, there are certain metrics you gotta abide by. The parent company has certain metrics that you're supposed to meet, like sales, for example. How many sales of certain products that got sold throughout the week, throughout the month. And they want you to operate at a certain level so that you can be profitable and they can get their cut, of course. Along with the franchising, there's the brand. And most of these parent companies are very jealous about their brand. Under no circumstance do they want their brand tarnished in any way, shape, or form. No way. Understandable, because they work so hard to establish it. So I can understand that. There could be that moment where you have an employee that just doesn't agree with your methods. And you, as the owner of that business, would be probably telling yourself, well, dude, if you're so good at it, start your own. Simple as that. If you can do this better, go start your own. No. They want to play co-owner. They're your employee, but they want to play co-owner. There's so much to that world of business. So much to that world of business and investing and finance. It's a tremendous world. It's huge. So many paths. But I will say this. I've seen the paths. I've traveled through many of the paths. And what I will say is this. You don't need to complicate your life even in the world of finance and business. That's why I highlight AJ, CJ, Jetta, JB, Queen. I highlight them because they're not in the world of finance. They never did anything with the stock market outside of maybe one of them having a 401k, outside of that, and most people with a 401k have no clue what's going on. But they're doing well. They don't understand how to set up a Fibonacci retracement on a chart. They don't know how to use the Scholes model. They don't know how to draw trend lines and what a MACD is and what an RSI is for. They don't understand price patterns. They don't know what to look for in fundamental analysis. They don't know any of that stuff. And they're doing well. They're doing well. They're doing well because they're participating. Believe it or not, there are plenty of people that get into the world of finance and they want to know everything. Oh, they want to sound super smart. They want to be at the party, impressing everybody with the jargon, with the vocabulary, with all that. Oh my, this guy. I was dressed up in complete rags. Rags! I used to keep my wife, before she was my wife, I used to keep her company. Because after we left the brokerage, she was a secretary at the brokerage, that's how I met her. And she decided to leave the brokerage because of the pressure. I had left also, so she took on a job at Starbucks. She was a supervisor at Starbucks. And I used to go to Starbucks every day and just chill. Laptop wide open. My trading account. I was trading heavy. I wasn't just investing, I was also trading. There's a difference between the two. And somebody from a brokerage firm that was right across the street from that Starbucks came in one day. I think it was something Edwards. I forget the Edward Jones, brokerage. So the broker comes in and he stops right next to me. I'm at this little table that's seating for two people, one on each side. So I feel his presence. He's right next to me. He's looking at my analysis of a particular stock. I don't about to trade. I'm about to do some options trading. So I guess he was testing me. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he mentioned certain things, certain price patterns, and I engaged in a conversation with him. I was breaking down the actual price pattern that he mentioned, along with the candlestick formations, and what my opinion was, and what the direction was going to be, and how long it would take, and all this other good stuff. And I kept kicking terminology after terminology at this guy. Okay, he was impressed, and a lot of people like to do that, do what I did, but that doesn't mean they make money. Oh, I've been married with this wife 13 years. 13 years. Now, I spoke about my previous relationship, my previous wife, my ex-wife, which was an absolute nightmare. You were there, I think, right? Yolanda, when I was talking to Coach Mean Reen about it. Because I was the victim of battery. I was a battered person. Yeah. Yeah, princess. I think maybe that's why Yolanda's here, because she knew. So, yeah, I was married with You can. So none of these people know anything about. They don't have not even 1% of the knowledge that I have, and yet they're doing well for themselves. They're doing well for themselves. They're participating in the stock market. They are doing what's called dollar cost averaging. It's a very, very simple thing. Whatever they're doing only requires two things. Again, I was saying it earlier in the video, but I'm going to repeat it. It sounds easier than what it really is. I mean, these are just words coming out of my mouth, but the two things are discipline and consistency. Technology is helping them with that, just to be honest, because after they did the hard part, which was making a decision to get started and how they were going to get started, after that, the technology kicked in. The technology kicked in, and now it's a thoughtless process, just about. Is it for AJ? Not so much for AJ. There's still some things that he has to go into his account and take care of. He decided to take a particular approach. But it's minimal. And it's after the fact. After what fact? After the transfer of that money that he requires the discipline for and the consistency. So every week, money gets transferred from his bank account, his personal account, over to his investment account. Automatically. He set up the parameters in his portfolio. Transfer X amount every week on such day. Enter. Done. You just have to make sure that in his account, and the way he got it set it up, it's pretty nice, because it gets transferred immediately upon him getting paid. So immediately when it gets transferred to his account, the hardest part is done. The next thing for AJ to do is to pick out of, 6 or 7 different corporations that he buys shares from, which one he's going to buy. Now, this is a particular strategy. A strategy that I taught him. Basically, what he's going to do is he's going to check to see the average price that he paid for each and every corporation. Average price that he paid for the stock, and then the one price where he's reflecting a loss because the average price that he's paying is above the current stock price. The one with the biggest gap between the current stock price and the average price that he paid, he buys that one. When he buys that one, it lowers the average cost for him, and eventually they meet, and then with time they pass. So now the average cost for the stocks is actually below a current price. And not only that, there's another added delight, something extremely delicious that all 5 or 6 people that are tapping in are doing, which is they're taking their dividends, not cashing it out so that they can play the compulsive consumer. No, they're not doing that. They're taking their dividend, they're reinvesting it and purchasing more shares. So as they do that, they're stacking their transfers, or they're stacking their dividends on top of the transfers. So the chunk keeps getting, the chunk is like this without the dividend. With the dividend is here. And then as time goes by, it keeps moving up. And now you can buy more. And then up some more. And then you can buy even more. And the growth from one point to another, then from another to another, those gaps from one time to another keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's truly amazing. Oh, you have to go? All right. Well, you know, I was supposed to end this live an hour ago, but my home slice Jared came through. And you know who I'm going to bless right now, too? He's my peoples. He's my peoples. I'm going to bless him, too. So now, man, I normally don't do this on a Whip It Out Wednesday. I usually keep it down to like between 20 and 25 minutes, but hey, I hope you guys have fun. I always have fun. When I'm on lives with you guys, I always have fun. I don't know what the hell it is, but I do. Anyway, it's time now for me to go. I gotta start driving. I gotta get to Minnesota, and I'm in Florida. I'm in your part of town. Am I close to your part of town, Iguala? Not sure. I was in some town called Donaldson or something like that. Yeah. So, Jackson, what the heck? What the heck took you so long? Happy Wednesday. Yeah, right. I need a security team with all this stuff on, huh? You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have to start flipping out, man. You're right. Just when I was gonna shut this thing down, I gotta shut it down because I gotta keep moving. I gotta go up to Minnesota. Just load these melons. I would love to show you my melons, but so anyway, everybody, listen. Thanks for coming on, Jackson. Better late than never. But I know I'm gonna catch you on Saturday. Listen, stay fresh, y'all. Stay fresh, keep it moist, and keep it profitable. Blessings to all of you, even if you didn't sneeze. Blessings. Bye, y'all.